its application is very, very limited in a place like South Africa. Having said that, though, you can experiment anywhere, and the last thing I want to be doing is suggesting that just because there's a low penetration rate doesn't mean that the internet doesn't work. That's the point of all the research that we've been doing into internet cafes, that when you think about poor, often disenfranchised, struggling people in developing contexts, you don't think technology savvy, and yet they are. And their attitude to information and the tools that we get in digital environments are, my God, this is a survival space. I can do stuff with this stuff. So I think that your investigation is has got a lot of really interesting potential. I mean, the other thing that one would obviously want to look at would be, what is going on in e-government, right now, and use that as a kind of a basis or a benchmark from which to kind of continue. I still find it. I've been doing work with the municipality of Durban. It's called the eThekwini municipality, and we did a benchmarking exercise where we looked at different city sites, municipality sites from all around the world, and it was incredible that they didn't use any of the social networking functionality or tools that's available. And you would think that it's such a no-brainer. It's kind of like, well, it's a municipality site, so we can replicate or start to investigate parallel layers of networking and communication and dialogue in these spaces, and yet they don't have them. It remains the domain of flickers and digs and things like that. So, and I'm sure that I mean, you can just start thinking about on those kind of municipality sites. You can start thinking about tag clouds.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a really simple example of playing back to the users, the things that other users are interested in. When you start thinking of that on the level of policy, well, even that is a really, really basic playback tool becomes something really, really interesting.
That's right. So if you had your choice of a particular angle or place to start researching how this might actually work, where would you begin? Would it have something to do with the internet, or would it have something to do with public spaces or neighborhoods or something of that nature?
I don't know. I mean that's something that I'd really need to think about.
Yeah.
From a research point of view, I would probably go at it. I would probably develop a variety of hypotheses and test and start working on all of them.
That's a great idea.
Would be the one thing. The second thing would be to approach it from both a top-down and a bottom-up point of view. Most of those kinds of e-government spaces are top-down,
right.
And it makes no sense, particularly when you have these kinds of websites or spaces which are from democratic countries, which in theory are bottom-up.
Right.
Plus they're using the medium of the internet, which is hypertextual and relational, which also means bottom up.
Right.
And yet all they do is speak to you.
Right.
There isn't dialogue. So I think that there are automatic kind of ironies there that one would address. I would also probably think about using stuff that already exists. Start looking at infrastructure or digital objects like kind of municipality sites or things like that actually do already exist,
right.
and look at instead of creating something brand new from scratch, perhaps working in an iterative way on top of things that exist that don't need to be perfect.
Right.
I mean, perfection is not what it has to be about. It's about arriving at a point in time with what is there and what is available, and then working within that to start taking things forward.